Chapter 9 Rudra and the Army of Surishila. Rudra sat static after listening to the story and said no words, nor did he react to any of Vishnukarma's connotations. His mind was rather coiling between the two extremes. First, for being contrite for falling in love with the princess Madhavi, a married woman, and secondly, by being more considerate for all that had fallen her innocent fate. Vishnukarma laid his hand lightly on Rudra's shoulder as a token of his sympathy and then spoke in his gentle concern. Destiny must have surely planned something for you. Keep hope, my boy, keep hope. Hope reveres the person who sees beyond the present defeat, beyond the moment of being cast down, beyond the loss of something, and beyond the hopelessness. Rudra first raised his head and looked deep into Vishnukarma's eyes, and then he gradually got up, accumulating his senses in proper order. He stood steadily and said, "I am sorry for my immature deeds. I must leave now, perhaps now never to return." Rudra dropped his head as he uttered these words. Vishnukarma stopped him and asked momentarily, pouncing into his way, "For what do you prepare to leave?" Rudra stumbled to his shocking question and answered, "I must return home now." "Home? Never to return?" "No, you can't. You just can't." "Do you have no regard? I saved your life. You owe me." Vishnukarma sped multiple arrows of his refusing notes on Rudra in order to stop him from leaving at once. "Saving my life?" sputtered Rudra. "From soldiers, of course. Had you got caught by them, would have undoubtedly been put to death," boasted Vishnukarma. Vishnukarma's vague attempts to stop Rudra appeared to be a blurring mystery. "My mother must be worried about me. Tell me, how do I repay for your favor? I will try my best to repay for it, but then I will return to my mother," replied Rudra. "How would you like to repay?" questioned Vishnukarma. "By doing anything possible you say," answered Rudra. "How do I believe anything possible?" asked Vishnukarma. "You have my words," replied Rudra. "Then go to your mother and inform her that you are the part of royal army of Surishila now, and you will work with me," demanded Vishnukarma. Rudra stood at Vishnukarma's hazy command, flunking to read his contemplation. Nonetheless, he was bound to his agreement, still tried to defend. "I'm not a soldier. I have never fought." "No problem. I will train you," reverted Vishnukarma, determined enough. Rudra could see no other option than by what Vishnukarma insisted about. He finally agreed to come back after meeting his parents. As he prepared to leave, Vishnukarma gave him a mischievous look and said, "I believe you, son of a great mother, that you would come back for sure to make up for your debt, or else I'll chase you, even in your dreams." Rudra puffed out a blow of breath and went back to his village. Sushrut and Sanjeevani were worried about their son after having had learnt from his friends about his abrupt disappearance, and were looking for him in every corner of the village, near waters, in the jungle, and so on. As soon as they saw him approaching back, they instantly leaped on him, frothing with joy and happiness. Sanjeevani kissed his forehead and asked for a promise to never leave them alone like that again. Carried away with the love of his mother, Rudra promised her to do so. Days passed by, but Rudra could not help remembering about his commitment to Vishnukarma. He worked, ate and slept, but with a very heavy heart. And then, one day, with the break of the dawn, when he rubbed his eyes to get up from his cot, which was placed in front of their house, he caught a glimpse of a huge muscular man caressing his long moustache through his lofty cheeks and staring at Rudra with his furious red eyes, flinging their beams around him. Rudra bounced out of his cot and then fell back, helpless to trust his eyes that the huge personality was no other than Vishnukarma, looking like the king of Lanka, deadened Rudra in an immense shock. To his further aversion, he bent closer to him and said, "I said, I will chase you even in your dreams. I did say that, right?" And the voice echoed and echoed in Rudra's ears as his vision went blurry with the fire's image fading away, as if he was fainting for the moment until Sanjeevani's voice superimposed it with her wake-up call for him. Rudra got up instantly, astounded, and then realized that it was nothing but merely a dream, where he had dreamt of Vishnukarma in reasonably typical stipulation. Besides, Vishnukarma didn't have those long moustache. Neither did he look like King of Lanka, Ravan. The dream faded away, but it did leave its traces on Rudra's mind and heart, somehow leaving him feeling nauseated for not keeping his words and not even sharing the incidents with his parents, perhaps because some stories may better be buried. But he was now more worried, lost and anxious. Severe stress owned him, pushing against him like an invisible gale, attempting to reverse his steps back to the city. Observing his health, Sushrut and Sanjeevani asked him to share the things that were continuously bothering him. Rudra, giving in to their persuasion and sincere concern, finally decided to flip through the previous events and then narrated the entire score of events of his random visit to Surishila. However, for some vague reason, he omitted the part of his stumbling upon Madhavi, but did mention that sudden encounter with Vishnukarma and the promise made to him about joining the royal army, which was an eminent reason behind his deadened state. Sushrut and Sanjeevani did not approve the offer for their son to join the imperial army, but they conferred Rudra with his choice to take a relevant decision, possibly contemplating that could help to treat his desired spirit. Who else could but understand the sick plight of a miserable soul than the parents like them? They were not only his parents, but great healers possessing the expertise to heal both mind and body. Sanjeevani, with a very heavy heart, packed his things, whereas Shushastra tagged a horse with a saddle and bridle, categorically preparing him for Rudra's journey. They stood all set and done to bid a send-off to their son for a new journey of his life, contemplating the aspiration for his future. "Take this horse, go and make us proud, son," said Sushruta in a dull but certain voice. "But promise to keep visiting us without any prolonged delay," said Sanjeevani. The tears burst forth like water from a dam, spilling down her face. "Your strands of love will always keep you close to my heart, even when we are far apart, my dear mother." Rudra solaced his mother. "But right now, it is my time to depart, to keep my words, to accomplish some necessary tasks," he said, and then left for the capital. After the journey of few hours, Rudra reached Vishnukarma's same place where he had stayed for a night. He promptly looked around to find where he was. "So, finally you have come," said Vishnukarma from behind. He stood with a satirical, smiley look as if he had won the bet, but then welcomed Rudra in his house, patting gently on his back. Before any official protocol, it was essential for Rudra to go through proper battle training. Vishnukarma himself trained him with all the skills required to be a warrior. Rudra typically practiced combat knowledge of the archery, wrestling, spear throwing and swordsmanship. On the day when Rudra finally qualified as a warrior, accomplishing all the tasks summoned by Vishnukarma, he bowed to Vishnukarma and asked what he could have done to give him for Guru Dakshina, an offering to the master for having trained him. He had fairly developed a resolute conviction in his heart for Vishnukarma. Vishnukarma accepted him as his worthy disciple. He said he would ask for Guru Dakshina when it would be time for it. Then it was the time for Rudra to get designated in the troops of Surishila. But prior to that, Vishnukarma had to cajole Madhavi's confidence, as she was the only person other than him to have seen Rudra before, however in a very awkward condition. Nevertheless, they both were cognizant of his inoffensive intentions. Madhavi had great respect for Vishnukarma, so she did not raise any question on his decision. Rudra got appointed as the chief of the palace guards. After getting endorsed with such a weighty responsibility for the kingdom, Rudra was even more sanguine to experiment with his abilities. As he walked through the hallways and passages of the palace ensuring their safety, the whole ambience seemed far more secure than it ever was. One evening, while he was administering a vigil over the palace, traversing the hallway, yet another unexpected encounter steered between Rudra and Madhavi. Madhavi was walking down the gallery with some of her housemates. She looked at Rudra surprisingly, as she was still wondering why he was found hanging at her window. However, her doubt on him for being a thief had been sorted, as Vishnukarma reported it to be one of his childish follies. Rudra, now pretending rallied over his premature feelings, bowed his head with eyes to the ground and turned around to resume to his duty. Rudra wished he had never committed such a stupidity like that. He kept walking straight, nearly lost in all those images, until he heard a tiny short man calling out to him, "Vishnukarma wishes to see you right now." Rudra went to meet Vishnukarma immediately in his private chamber, where he was sliding his fingers on large, shiny pieces of the chessboard made up of fine, polished marble stone. He looked at Rudra tentatively and said, "So far you have known all royalties, authorities, priests and other important ranks of this kingdom. Now, you should also know about some special guests who are also considered as special friends, or in fact, if I can say, the special foes of our king and kingdom, in the guise of a guileful face of friendship." Rudra stood speechless, concentrating on what Vishnukarma had now to unfurl. Vishnukarma continued, "King Vajraveer has a daughter named Rupalakshmi, who is very naive and pure, and is married to the prince of our neighboring kingdom of Varhana, Prince Gajradhan. When it comes to the looks, Gajradhan is a sturdy, brawny and fairly handsome prince. His body is said to be made out of thunder, respective to his immense powerful arms. But regrettably, his heart is not as handsome as his physical appearance is. He perpetually operates into the wicked fellowship of his atrocious maternal uncle, Ulkasur, who is evil and malicious in every single manner. For his rigorous practices in black magic and sorcery, for his unscrupulous guidance on Gajradhan, and his despicable tricks in playing this game, pointing at the chessboard, he claims to be the master of this game, which I know how he masters it. He hissed out a short burst of air, curling his lips in a sarcastic sneer. But then, what made them tie a knot in a matrimonial relationship with them? Interrupted Rudra skeptically. Vishnukarma answered, that is because of King Vajravir's childhood friendship with Ulkasur. He has been quite perceptive in conjuring King Vajravir's confidence and trust. He was in fact behind all transactions to materialize their friendship in a relationship by the marriage of Princess Rupalakshmi with his sister's son Prince Gajradhan, who since the tender age of childhood has been a reliable devotee of his uncle Ulkasur. And why do you call them the enemies of the state? Asked Rudra, unable to resist to know the bottom line story. Vishnukarma unveiled. Ulkasur was deeply captivated with Princess Kusumati's ultra-ravishing beauty, and he wanted to win her over in any condition. But when on the day of the marriage, she had to choose one from an assembly of suitors, she preferred King Vajravir instead. Her negligence penetrated Ulkasur's fervid emotions. Since then, he decided never to marry in his life. To crown his miseries ahead, I was chosen as the General Secretary and the Prime Minister of Surishila. Even though my forefathers always served Pratihita's dynasty, which King Nahusha, Kusumati's father, belonged to stay closer to Vajravir or perhaps near to Kusumati. Paused Vishnukarma for a while. His eyes narrowed and the breath went lower. And from that day onwards, he holds a grave rivalry with King Vajravir, Queen Kusumati and even me. But never expresses for some reason as I can reckon. In fact, he is trying to erode the roots of our kingdom with his devious black magic tricks, which he has tried several times, but in vain. He completed. What has possibly been the reason behind failure of his magic tricks? Rudra's curiosity got the better of him. Vishnukarma gave an amusing, sultry smile at his unresisting inquiry and said, "It's me, my dear. It's me. My ancestors have happened to be Ma Kali's worshippers, who has bestowed us with a shield of protection from any black magic darting from any sphere of this world. Ulkasur is now well aware of this reality that his contemptible tricks work no more in front of me, and thus he holds the desire to kill me. But alas," he gave a queer satirical smile. And Queen Kusumati? Why would you want to stay closer to her? Is it that... Before Rudra could beseech any more queries, Vishnukarma snapped instantly. "You shall soon have the opportunity to know more. Now go and take some rest." Is he blushing? Wondered Rudra, narrowing his eyes in a steep look with plum folds between his tapered brows. He somehow understood Vishnukarma's intentions for disclosing the records, but he was still wondering about Queen Kusumati, whom he had never seen around the palace, and why this old man abruptly tripped at her thought.